Thank you for watching this Last Mile Profits video.
Is InPost redefining cross-border delivery? Stay tuned to find out more.
Experience the future of convenience with modern Expo parcel lockers. Cutting-edge innovations that bring parcel delivery to a fundamentally new level. Follow the link in the description to find the best solution for your business.
Gary, it's happened at last. A major European player has launched a cross-border locker service. What do you think about that?
I can't decide whether to be excited or not, because obviously there's lots and lots of cross-border services you can ship, across the EU quite easily. But I suppose what makes it different is the first time this is specifically locker to locker rather than locker to home or home to locker.
Yeah, so for those of you who haven't seen the story, InPost has now formally announced that they've launched a major cross-border international service at the moment. From what I understand, primarily within the EU. I don't know if the UK, Gary, was included. Did you say anything on that?
I don't think it was, because we touched on this before with the maybe the customs issues are a bit of an
Absolutely.
obstacle. Yeah.
I think it's actually really good news because it makes life really easy. I'm sitting in Estepona, Spain now, and one of my biggest bugbears is actually trying to get something sent from Poland here, because whereas in Poland lockers work pretty well, my nearest locker is not slipper distance, and home delivery doesn't really work so well. So I can imagine in my specific case, it's going to be pretty cool. And Gary, apparently, Rafał Brzoska, the CEO of InPost, actually said that another advantage is the service will be cheaper than paying for additional or extra baggage, whatever it's called, on Ryanair or Wizz Air. So it's pretty good news.
My immediate question as soon as I hear that is, to make it cheaper, will the locker it's sent to be randomly allocated, like your seat on Ryanair? Or do you have to pay a little surcharge to actually choose where the thing's actually going to be sent to? Or is that included in the service?
No, I suspect, Gary, actually you can choose the locker, but that's a good idea to make a bit of money. Economy product where, it will randomly choose a locker in your vicinity that has space versus the one that you choose. But seriously, I really love this because I think that lockers are super convenient. They're particularly good for returns. And this is going to be a really big deal for people like me or you, because you've got your place in Portugal, provided the network is big enough, has enough lockers and has that proximity.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that there are many advantages to living here in Portugal, but home delivery is not high amongst them. I have met my postman once because he rang my doorbell to ask me if I knew where the address on the letter he was holding was and if I could direct him so he could go and deliver it, which frankly is something that would never happen in the UK. It's quite the opposite, that the postmen are the delivery experts, not the expat foreigners who've only been in the country a couple of years.
I'm interested, Gary, actually, how the conversation went. How's your Portuguese?
Terrible. But I think there's a lot of hand gesturing and pointing and shaking of heads and scratching of chins, but we kind of get by. What's really interesting here, actually, is that most of the older people that live around here speak French as a second language, because there's a lot of expat working over the border up into France. So I can get by in French, so it's not too bad.
Okay, well, listen, but getting back to the point at hand, I actually think this is really great. For me, this is step one. If this takes off, and I see no reason why it shouldn't, maybe the next step will actually be, in the direction of networks consolidating or at least working together in partnership. Because I think, if I remember correctly, this covers 8 markets where InPost has a presence, which is great compared to what we have today, which is almost nothing. But it's certainly a far cry from, is it 27 now you have in Europe?
Yeah, I just, as you were saying that, I was just thinking, if you look at DPD and some of the other kind of cross-European carriers, one of the disadvantages they've got is that they've kind of grown through acquisition. So the integration between them, certainly from a locker point of view, is pretty low. And from my conversations I've had with many of the European carriers in different markets, that they've often gone off and done their own thing locker-wise. A lot of that's changing, where there's been some central decisions being made by the big players about locker deployment and locker integration. So this could be on their flight plan going forward. But obviously the big advantage InPost have, they've built their networks from the ground up. Everything's been built as a mirror image out of Poland. So they've got that kind of synergy already created from the get-go. For people to follow this innovation, I think it's going to be a bit more difficult than if you're building it from scratch.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because if I were to choose any single player that has the best overall coverage, which doesn't mean to say they're necessarily the biggest in any given market, but have really great European coverage, without a doubt the number one choice would be DPD Group, or Geopost, as I think they're now called. Number two would be GLS. But neither of them have really got a standardized and coherent out-of-home position. If you take the regional perspective,
there's Sur in Spain, so there you can tell there is still not quite that single seamless view that's quite ready to face a European-wide market. But yeah, I take your point. DPD and GLS are definitely the class acts for it.
Well, I'll tell you something. I'm not sure if it's going to be printed or online before this video is issued, but actually I'm going to be talking to InPost about this, because I think it's a really interesting story, and writing an article with a bit of help from Miza Koralczyk on this story. So let's watch this space, and I think that this is going to be the start of something really, really big. So it'd be great to have everyone's comments below if anyone else has a view on this. As usual, of course, please, if you've liked this video, then press the like button, subscribe, because that's what helps us keep these videos free. Gary, as usual, great talking. Looking forward to the next story on this particular topic.
Thanks for watching this Last Mile Profits video. For more up-to-date last mile news and analysis, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on LinkedIn.